same actual Hangout, but this time through XSplit. And in theory, people should be able to actually be heard. So I'm going to shut up and let y'all get back to the conversation you were having if you haven't forgotten what you were talking about.
What were we talking about?
But we don't really want to go into that conversation because stuff we don't want to talk about. How's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about all these annoying, like, apologists that suck. Okay.
Well,
that's good. No, yeah, that's every
we're
hangout.
talking about is it's tired of
We're
talking about
being tired of talking about them.
Right, that's what we were talking about. So.
Sit here in silence. We'll have a meditation hangout. How about that? Pay attention to your breathing.
Well, I'm actually checking to see if XSplit's actually working.
We really want to go into that conversation.
I can't.
We don't want to talk about. How's that?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to
talk
talk
about
all
these
these annoying, like, apologists that suck. Okay.
Well,
okay, it should be working. Cool.
Yeah.
Granted, I should have overlapping sound now, but fuck it. There we go.
Do it live.
We'll do it live!
Okay.
I remember that clip. Yeah, the Rickroll version of that was the better one, quite honestly.
Oh.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to.
I will say one thing. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just noticing something weird. Okay.
Yeah, next time somebody asks me what my worldview is, I'm going to say Google Earth.
I like that option. I think that we should all explore that, quite honestly.
I do too.
For anyone that watches the second installment of this crap, and wow, my hand is huge on my little screen here. Anyway, for anyone that's jumping into the second installment here, normally when I do an Insomnia Shuffle, I usually don't bother to save them, but the last little bit that we were doing was way too much fun, so I had to save it. I've actually named it as, what was this, something like Strange Question, Stranger Answer, or something like that, because that was a little bit of a blast. But I figured before we move on to a real topic, I should cut it there, because that one's probably the one that's worth watching, and not this. But anyway, around it, the question was posed to me a moment ago, you know, what's going on with this whole Raw thing? I'm trying to ignore him because he's useless and obnoxious.
Good answer.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I have no real interest. He's clearly has some deep-rooted psychological issues, and I don't feel like feeding into them. I kind of feel like, on some levels, if I really wanted to, I could effectively ruin his day, and I really have no interest in doing that. I don't really give a shit. So that's basically that. Yeah.
No point.
There had been a number of questions that were asked during the last hangout, and we did have a lot of fun with it. But there kind of comes a point that you just have to kind of simmer down, and the theory behind all this is that, you know, it'd be nice if people actually got to sleep at some point, including myself. And it's only like 1 o'clock here, and I'm fucking wide awake. The Hangout link will be the same, and I'm going to post that in a moment for the sake of anyone that wants to join in, other than Prudent, who, you know, unfortunately won't be able to get in once again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
No.
On that note, whoops, mute this. There we go. Oh, wow! So that's how I get that funny little real time on the right side comment section. I start something without it being fucking Google+, and it won't let me post the link to my own fucking video, so I'm going to have to modify the comments part of it. That's lovely. Info and settings. There we go. Here we go.
Settings.
Okay, try again.
Oh, yeah.
There's the Hangout link. I am putting in the comments. If you're watching, you'll have to refresh, and it looks like only one person watching anyway, and that's probably me, so what the fuck.
No, that's me. And there's 4 watching now.
Oh, there is. Well, hello, there's crazy 5 people watching. How are you doing tonight? I hope that you... Wait a minute. No, you are awake. Which Raw is this? I was referring to Raw. R-A-W... It's what,
50,
Raw
69.
Yeah, 5069, who recently has shown himself to be a little bit unhinged, we'll just say. Apparently, him accusing me of slandering him when I didn't slander him, and me then calling him out for being full of shit somehow broke his little mind. Yeah. Anyway.
And why Why are the last two numbers in his name 69?
Who knows?
I don't
Maybe he
know.
was born in '69.
No.
Maybe not.
Maybe he was 50 years old and born in 69 when he created the account.
It could be.
No! No! That's
I was
stupid.
born
Never
in
mind.
69. I was born in 69.
That was stupid. I'm in my 40s and I was born in 71. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah. So.
No.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that
a dumb
doesn't.
comment.
That doesn't. And it's just interesting.
Now, of course, if you want to put in random comments, and there you're welcome to. Once again, the link to the Google Hangout that we're broadcasting this from is available down there. And as long as you're not somebody that I mistakenly blocked from the call, you should be able to get back in. Man, that was bad. I feel bad about that. It's not the first time this has happened. It happened to Nadia not that long ago, actually.
Yeah, guess who was the one who did it? Prudent.
Oh, was it Prudent? Well, then he gets what he deserves, damn it.
Yeah, that is funny. It was from one of his live podcasts too.
The proof of karma.
Oops. Yes, proof of karma.
Well, the popularized karma.
Oh, that's kind of fun. It says you whenever I speak down below, so apparently these people get to claim that they're the ones speaking whenever I do. That's kind of cool.
You.
I'm speaking for whoever you is, yes.
Are you a you?
Faithless Galaxies. Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, who doesn't like a good 69? My guess would be 68 and 70.
No. It's better than a bad 69.
Yeah, definitely true, definitely true. Hey, Galaxies, you can come in if you want. Of course, whenever somebody does come in, I'm going to have to sit there and modify the little bar down here that the people in the call can't really see.
Ouch! You poked me in the top of the head, you jerk.
Yeah, pretty well. You know, hang on. Let me. I can't get to you.
Wrong side.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's reversed on.
Yeah,
That's
ow.
it.
Yeah, ow.
I'm gonna have to reverse it on my side, so it's right on. Oh, screw it. Not worth it.
It's like whack-a-mole.
No, actually, this side is well
Pokey.
on the podcast. This side is actually, in theory, the correct side because it's Google's fucking weird.
Everybody loves some good pokey.
Little pokey.
Pokey? As in Pokey and Gumby?
Actually, I might be giving out too much information here, but as far as I know, the website's long gone now. A friend of mine decided on a whim to start the Church of Gumby, and we had all these different slogans like "Join the Church of Gumby because we're flexible." Be alert. We need more alerts. Stuff like that. And mind you, the person that started this, who referred to himself as the Pope Tom, he actually decided to name a bunch of the people that were in on the joke to positions within the Church of Gumby. And I was the High Lord Archbishop of Weird Mysticky shit. So you can obviously tell I was back in the whole shamanic phase back when he knew me. A good friend of mine named Todd, who's now no longer with us. No, not that he's not with the Church of Gumby. You're always with the Church of Gumby. But he's no longer living, so he's preparing the way for us, which kind of works because he was the janitor.
He got his mop and his bucket and his broom and everything with him.
Yeah. That's kind of the really crude joke. He was a good kid. We refer to him as Cement Head. He was a little bit dense, but he was a really good kid. In that way that you sit there and you say something and he just doesn't get it ever.
I used to be that guy.
And you admit it?
I've admitted a lot of things about myself that I wish I wasn't.
Fair enough. By the way, via the little podcast thing, our heads are on the bottom here are huge. So if you start picking your nose, people will really be able to tell.
Waka.
Well, that's if you stick your finger in your ear.
I have to do that all the time with these damn headsets. Where's the wax bill? I don't know. Things get uncomfortable after a while. Of course, also when the battery dies on this damn headset, I'm going to have to cut the podcast anyway because of the way that I have the sound routed right now. If I actually was planning on doing this well ahead of time, I would have sent up the virtual audio cable so I could have just switched to whatever audio stream I wanted, but oops, oh well. That would have taken some time. And I had like, what, 9 viewers or something like that. And I'm like, oh, wait, I thought I was going to start a new one. I better hurry because, yeah, my head's up my ass. So what's interesting and worth talking about in the news? Because that fucking plane sure as shit isn't.
No.
Yeah.
Is there anything else in the news other than that fucking plane?
I haven't really been paying attention to the news lately. It depresses me too much. It really does.
Oh, the
Like,
book. How Jesus Became God. That's the book that Ehrman's promoting the shit out of. Hell, I could probably get him on a podcast at this point, the way he's going around whoring that thing.
Alright, and we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, we better. I mean, shit, if he's willing to go on Live Life's show, he's willing to go on any show. Because that's
if he went on fucking Skeptic Fence and didn't come on the place, I think I would not ever read anything by him again.
I might lose some respect myself. Good grief. So let's see now. What do we have on the fun here?
Well, Mickey Rooney died.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yep. And they caught a 1-ton man-eating croc in somewhere in Africa, I think.
Holy
the guy
crap.
was 1 ton and he was eating a crocodile? That's insane.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know. Uganda.
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 Well, Uganda, you do you
About
too.
it.
Yeah.
Put that on the list of places to not visit.
Oops, that was the wrong one. Never mind.
Yeah, that was the wrong one.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that thing exists. I need to load it for the sake of the crickets.
We're here all week. We're here all week, folks.
Oh
know.
yeah, I've used the crickets before. I used the crickets honestly once.
Uh-oh. There's
Hey!
a jumper of Cliff's
Oh
in
crap,
here.
I'm going to have to actually adjust my screen now. No, I'm not. You fit. Cliff Jumper fits. Yay! How's it going,
Whoa,
Cliff?
cool.
We don't have to boot you.
I might
I'm
have
guessing
to...
you just came from JD's hangout.
Yeah, I might have to extend the list anyway.
Bitch fest.
So how's it going, Master of the Models?
Fine, fine. How are you?
Oh,
Pretty good. What's up? We're just kind of chilling out. This is technically the second part to an Insomnia Shuffle. We are being aired. We're not actually off air. The first part, we were doing this weird-ass Q&A, and it got so funny, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep this part. Usually Insomnia Shuffle I don't keep. But that one was just hilarious, so I'm like, what the fuck? We had too much fun.
Cool.
So, weren't you in Hangout a little bit ago?
Yeah, a G-Man came in and I started to, get like pains in my head from the face palming, so I decided to leave.
Okay, now, as you turn sideways, I can kind of see the dent.
I've got a question for you, Cliff Jumper. Oh, after you listen to a lot of that kind of crap, do you find you have to hit the books again and restudy because you've lost a lot of what you've actually learned because you listened to this crap? No? Okay, that's
No,
good.
it just
No,
reinforced the fact that I'm less of an idiot than I thought, actually.
Usually I'll listen to Bob Graves or something afterward, or John Shook. Alright, gotta regrow some brain cells. I've been in theist hangouts all day.
Oh, good grief.
I've been in a pair of them. I was in one with I can't remember, it's like the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse equivalent of hangouts. There's Brett Keane, Richard Raspberry, G-Man, Jason Burns, and
I heard they were kicking people out of that thing left and right.
Yeah.
oh, well, they do that anyway. It's Brett Keane, isn't it? But also, sorry, 5. They've got a 5 horseman because Matthew Bell came in for a few minutes as well before they kicked him. They kicked him because he was taking an alternative view of things and saying, "Well,
Matthew Bell didn't agree with their extremely fucked up version of Christianity and said something intelligent."
No. He
it's
presented
the other way around.
he presented his own fucked up view.
Well, it wasn't even his own fucked up view. He was taking a sort of the approach they come from is this, and then they kicked him because it's like, no, we don't want to hear anything other than the way that we think. So therefore, bye bye.
That sounds pretty normal for them.
Yeah. And like I say, then I was in a conversation with JD Kane, which was going perfectly fine, and then G-Man turned up and started talking over everybody, as he
That's
does.
when you throw him out.
No, well, yeah, that's when you should throw him out, but JD
JD didn't, yeah.
No, so he basically wanted to watch him dig his own grave, which he was doing quite adequately. But the thing about it is, it was getting frustrating because you couldn't get a word in edgeways. And even I was kind of like, gee, man, shut the hell up, man.
Oh yeah.
That kind of thing. I shouted at him, and I almost feel guilty for doing that, but also not, because if you know, it's an on-air hangout, and it's, I mean, I wasn't doing the rage quit because I was the rage stay, but I was playing the rage. And you know, if I'm doing, I'm quite a rational, quiet person. I got a loud voice, but I'm quiet and even-minded. Give people a chance to talk and things like that. But if I'm getting like that, it just shows how annoyingly mental G-Man is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it going on about?
Oh,
Or do you want to rehash it? You can leave it alone.
aspartame gives you cancer, and you know, that kind of stuff. So it's like, what, you know, he went to InfoWars.
Oh,
You know,
God.
and saw that, and it's like, oh,
Is he anti-vaxxer
no,
as well,
doesn't. Yeah, so we spent
No,
about
he'll
20
just believe
minutes.
any fucked up idea he can find without evidence that sounds convincing.
Yeah,
He's one of
then it
those
went
people.
into drugs, so kind of
Oh, I
like,
wish-
oh,
I
you
wish
know,
I was in there for that.
yeah, you know, it's
Address
kind of
those
like,
questions.
despite the fact that, you know, we were kind of pointing out that smoking kills more people than cannabis does. You know.
Oh, that one I wish I was in there for because
Yeah.
I'm kind of punchy about that.
Mm.
When people say stupid shit about that they don't understand.
Yeah.
I used to read pharmacology papers.
And then, what was it? He went into his proofs of God kind of stuff.
Oh,
And you know, I mean, he refused. He asked me a question in the Brett Keane one, and he claims that I refused to answer. And actually, what I said was I'm unqualified to answer because I don't know enough about evolution. And he has taken that as me refusing to answer, which is not the same thing.
Well, that should be every one of his answers.
Yes, exactly that.
And most of us, actually. I'm not qualified to answer the vast majority of that stuff. I studied trees. I studied forestry. That was my
trees.
You know, I mean, I could use the same thing. I could say, like, you know, I challenge all of you to, you know, to give me the reason why British Rail was privatised in 1992. Can you tell me?
It's like,
no, because that's something I know about, but it's not something you know about. You know, why would I expect you to be able to answer these kinds of questions? I wouldn't.
Yeah. Because I can't, it doesn't mean I'm refusing to answer, or I can't, or I can't. I just...
Yeah.
That's
I'd like to
ridiculous.
take G-Man and chain him in a classroom in front of Greg Bray and force him to stay there for 5 hours.
You'd have
until
to
he can pass a basic exam on how evolution works.
Yeah, but
and
you'd have
not
to
be-
tie him up and muzzle him as well, because he just talks over people all the time.
No, I'll give him a shot collar and give Greg the remote.
No, they had it all right in Clockwork Orange. They got the setup all there, so it's a Clockwork Orange. And we'll play some really nice Christian hymns in the background instead of the...
I mean, I even shouted at him, or didn't shout at him as such, but I did say, you know, there's a reason why you've got 2 ears and only 1 mouth. But he didn't really take the hint. Oh, dear me.
Yeah, it's so you can listen to me ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, tried the same question on JD, and although he gave evidence, that wasn't evidence, the right evidence for him.
Oh yeah.
You know, but he was trying to pull the creationist idea of macro versus micro, where there's evolution, and that's it. You know. So, oh yeah, it's obvious that microevolution works because you can see it in test tubes and stuff like that, you know. But no, you know, macroevolution, that doesn't work. You know, and from his perspective, the idea that the rainbow goes straight from red to green.
What?
Really?
What?
What
I
kind
can't
of rainbows are
process
those?
that tonight.
Yeah, there's nothing in
Acid
between.
rainbows.
Yeah.
Acid rainbows, obviously. Yeah.
G-Man.
Yeah.
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 And what color is
I
the
believe
sky in your
believe
world?
he starts for G. Will this ever shut up?
Man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's me rented over.
There you go.
That's
thank
what
you.
we're
Sorry
here
for
for.
ragging on everybody else and giving them a
No,
hard
that's
No,
okay.
that's what we're here for.
Well,
Yeah.
I asked the question too, so I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like it wasn't brought up. So.
The only thing I didn't, I don't think I did, was swear. I tend not to be a swearer. I have to get really annoyed to swear, and I think I may have done. May have
Oh,
slipped
yeah,
me a
Brett.
word in.
The Brett Keane hangout earlier today, Lenatar went into that one. He didn't say anything and got kicked in like 10 seconds because, quote, they don't like his language.
Yeah.
Pruden, how did you get back in here?
There's always such thing called a troll account.
Oh, so you do have alts. Okay.
Hi, Prudent. Did I see you on Magic Summer Show this evening?
Yeah, I was there. I had some of my question. Like I tried to ask him like about education stuff, and what happened was I kept getting I got interrupted and kind of cut off. So it kind
By
of
who? Let me guess.
well,
Dun-
what happened
Thunder-
was what
Thunderfoot.
happened was this. Hogside Champ kind of took the question I asked. Kind of took it a little. Well, he took it out of context, and he sort of accused me of like being biased in there. And I said, well, no, I was just asking a question, just trying to get an opinion, and I was trying to ask from different points of view. And after I asked the question, it kind of they I think some of them mistook it for something else. And long story short, I left really unsatisfied.
Why I don't bother with that. They frustrate
Oh,
me
hey,
too
hey,
much. I don't like their arrogance. What?
By the way, do you see the name of my troll account?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I just won up 13. Oh, he's
No,
not
you
back
didn't.
yet. Oh, he is gonna.
I'm just chewing on some crackers.
No, he's shuffling. Yeah, he's shuffling some
He's
stuff around.
shuffling,
Yeah.
shuffling.
Oh, is he gonna kick me off?
No, why would I do that?
Don't give us a reason to anymore.
Oh, wait. Oh, it says my name is Prudent on the thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, it says beep beep beep.
No. Okay, you don't understand. That wasn't supposed to happen. The name was I made a new name that would probably piss 13 off. It's called.
What?
I named it 14 Heathens
Oh.
Why would that piss
Okay.
me off?
because I would one up you in that case.
No,
But
no,
he's
no.
not 14 heathens. He's
No.
13 heathens.
No. And 13's a magic number. Yeah.
Where'd you get the 13 Heathens name from? Just out of curiosity.
I was gonna ask that actually.
So, I have a question for you, Prudent. Who was at the Last Supper?
Okay, I get it.
Wah wah. There we go.
Well, there were a couple of kangaroos there too, weren't there?
Might have been. I'm not really sure. I know the
What
captain.
translation of the Bible are you using?
I know the the captain of the kangaroos is there.
Translation. Monty Python translation.
Yes, of course. What better translation is there? Let's see if I can
I'm
move the
actually
screen a
following
touch
this.
more, just in case we get somebody else to join. There we go. Rictus has been moved, and I just screwed up the other link. Damn it! I will fix
I've been
this.
moved.
What about you, Rick?
Am I supposed
Where'd
to
you get your
correct
name
it?
from?
Rictus is one of my favorite words, just like the word. And Gate was the last band I played drums in.
Yeah, I'll fix this.
That's it.
And I'm the 24th of the Cliffjumper clan.
Cliffjumper Clan.
How about the 24? Or I think that's where your
Does there need to be a reason?
Yeah, sorry, that's the reason.
The reality
Always.
of my one is that I just chose a Transformer name because that was easier than Dave.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I first got number 24 seems to pop in a lot for me because I was 24 when I got on the internet.
A pretty pivotal event in a person's life.
It just happens to have been, I was 24, so I just typed in 24 for all the other ones that I've added on and things like that.
That makes sense.
By
And
the
I'm
way,
40 now, so that's 16 years I've been on the web.
woo! Kevin,
When I say on the web, I mean on the web on my own computer at home, rather than at the local library.
What's up, Prudent?
yeah, I did. You were right. You're mentioning, I think, on the last one, like about I forgot his name. What am I saying? About Finite Atticus. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'll contact him tomorrow. He said he was interested. I'll see if we'll make it official tomorrow. I think Sawyer said he might show up as well. So I want 2 believers and 2 non-believers, like on the forum, like in the discussion, like just about.
Who do you yeah. Who do you have so far?
I have you and Atticus will be the non-believers on the forum. Like it's not like a debate or anything. It's more of a forum.
I know. I'm asking who. Just tell me who you have. Who are the theists?
You have a question, answer it.
I have. I think Sawyer said he probably will show up. Will most likely, and I'm still looking for the second theist.
Talk to Gary.
Yeah, I tried to. He hasn't responded to me yet.
Then. You want a reasonable theist, right?
Yeah. Can we get Nate?
No.
Or is it...
No.
Have you thought of Epicurus?
Oh, Epicurus, a Greek, yeah.
Yeah, he's nice enough.
He'd
He's a
be
good
good.
guy.
Rather than Nate, I would say Aaron might be a better choice.
Aaron's a great choice, yeah.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Or
Yeah,
G-Man, for that matter. How about
No,
I thought you said reasonable.
that? I'm kidding.
Fiona?
Better be.
I'm
that's
kidding. I'm
reasonable,
kidding.
not retarded.
I'm kidding, guys. Relax.
You really want to abuse a guest like Atticus like that?
No.
He'll never come on your show again.
How about Pillbox? Yeah, he'll be
Okay,
fun.
let's see now, hang on 1 second.
Prudent, we're not taking you seriously
You
anymore.
could use Elijah, who can pretend to be a theist. He's
Google won't
good
let
enough
him
at
join.
doing it.
Galaxies can't join because Google won't let him join with the Faithless account? Why not? That's fucked up.
Is it
Somebody
not
have blocked?
connected to Google Plus?
That's what I'm wondering. Just make a crappy temporary Google Plus account? I don't fucking know, try that.
Yeah.
I mean, the link's
Troll
there.
accounts, baby. They're awesome.
What's awesome now?
Troll accounts.
There we
Yeah,
go.
just ask Brett Keane. You might even be able to buy one from him.
I don't know.
That's the funny thing. He probably would sell it to you because he's a schmuck.
I think I'm gonna use these troll accounts and I don't know, just raise them hell a little bit. I'll be that.
Don't publicize your plans here. This is a live hangout.
Yeah, and you can't use that one either because some idiot will think it's me.
we're not on air yet, so it's not going out.
What are you? Yeah, we are.
We are on air, dude. Just check the 13 Heathens channel.
Yeah,
He's doing it through XSplit.
yeah, we're X-splitting.
Oh.
Congratulations, Captain Dumbass. Dum dum dum.
Well, you were commented on the live stream.
Damn it. Well,
He comments on the live stream and then doesn't realize we're live. Duh.
Weren't you?
Third.
I thought you were taking us off air. That's what
Okay. Put
did,
down that
and then he
bag
went
and
back
quit
on
huffing
it.
on that gasoline. Quit huffing gasoline, everybody.
Dude.
plans foiled right before they even got off the ground. I was
Yep.
gonna be the. I was gonna be
That's how we roll.
I was gonna be the best
Bitch.
patient troll ever.
No, you weren't.
No, you aren't.
Thanks for
There are a lot
trying.
of them
Though.
out there. Yeah.
No,
Big shoes
I-
to
You're
fill.
not going to be the. Nah.
Oh, I've
You've
got-
got too much competition.
Big shoes to fill.
Oh yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I would just troll the comment sections of certain videos just to get people pissed off. I was never gonna actually, join a hangout. They'd rather.
No.
Yeah, well, they have this thing called Screaming Bees that you can use to augment your voice. And your
Ooh, where
voice
did
is
that-
mid-range enough that people wouldn't know it was you other than the fact that, they might be able to figure it out by the way you speak.
I was just gonna keep doing this thing where I would pull off that second law of thermodynamics bullshit, and then no matter how many times they keep telling me that this is not the case, I'll just repeat it anyway, no matter what.
Whose videos are you gonna troll? I'll tell you who to avoid.
Well, we can't really talk about this on air, but
Oh, but it says off air at the top, right? Even
Yeah,
though we're
man.
broadcasting, so you know you're fine.
You're the one who's choosing to continue talking about it.
fine, fine. Who should I avoid? Who should I avoid? No one's gonna watch this anyway, right?
You probably. Other than the what
Well,
10
9 or
viewers
10
that we
people.
have.
Yeah.
Well, if any of the 10 viewers
Well,
ever
you said you're looking for YouTube atheists to troll, basically, right?
yeah, basically.
Go troll Cult of Dusty's channel.
Oh,
Yeah.
go troll him. I think I will.
I mean, that's like shooting fish in a barrel, though. Just saying.
I
Why
know.
would
I
you
know.
troll anybody at all?
Yeah, what's the
Because
point?
he's he's young.
He's a
He's still
kid,
going through that
you know.
phase.
Okay,
I mean, to be fair, I still troll people. I just
Yeah, I know. Trolling is something you do till you get your first pube.
Hey, that's
Ooh.
weird.
Prepubescent.
Oh, do you want me
That
to
was a little creepy.
You want me
They're
to
so
click
cute
on
when
the
they're
show?
What now? What?
As it occurs to Kevin that included him too when he said he was going to troll people. He trolls people, you know.
No, I ignored that.
Good,
Oh.
okay. Somebody
Yeah, I
that knows
can't
how
do-
to roll with it.
I think I'll do it with the Prudent Lane Craig channel that I just set up and let you kick me off. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you like I said, get screaming bees and augment your voice a little bit, because yeah, that'll help.
I'll have to come up with a completely different name. New
And
account.
practice.
Hey, I can't even do that right now because like have to broadcast with a specific mic, so I can't switch to screaming bees. Damn it! It would come out normal on the stream while you people are reacting, so screw it. This is why I need to use virtual audio cable next time I do this.
I deliberately went out of my way to.
Thomas
make
Scully
myself-
says I gonna tell Brett Keane. Whatever.
You're gonna tell.
Oh, I'm so scared.
I gonna tell. Oh, he's got the smiley.
Okay, guys,
He's got
guys,
his tongue.
I'm gonna put my camera back on and let's see. I'm just give this a little try.
You know they'll be able to see you if you turn your camera on. And they'll see you bigger than you normally are on the bottom there, so they'll be able to catch you picking your nose.
All right. So what's going on now? Where's Alex Botten? I want to talk to Alex Botten.
It's
Dude, you're
Pillbot.
not loud enough. You're not loud enough. You're not angry enough.
You're not
Practice.
interrupting. You haven't interrupted enough yet.
Go talk Captain Awesomeo. He'll teach you how to do a real pillbox.
Oh, yeah,
And he'll
very good.
probably just troll you
I
back.
tuned in on that and I was like, is that really Pillbox? Like, I was like, really? No, it isn't.
I actually had.
But,
Oh, I'm sorry, but you believe in pseudoscience.
Yeah.
He is the
I am
pushiest little pain in the
serious.
ass, isn't he?
I am pseudoscience, okay? So,
Yeah, you know what?
yeah, so pipe that you're smoking, stick it.
Good grief.
No.
The scientists agree with me. That's all you have to do. Just be loud and obnoxious. That pretty much gets most of it.
Pick up a book and
The hard
point
thing
at
about
it.
it
See, the
is
thing is, he can't even do it because he's laughing too hard.
I-
You
That's
gotta
the
pick up
first
a book
problem.
and point at it.
You know what the
though,
cool
too.
thing is? The way I have this set up, if I do something like that, it's really, really visible that I'm mousing over them and muting them. Kind of
Oh, I
fun,
know.
actually.
Oh, I get it. You
Gonna
gotta
mess
mute
everything
me.
up here for a
Can't
moment
handle-
here.
You can't be taking down your entire world.
He's got Hollywood Squares going on there. You got Hollywood Squares.
Oh, I get it.
It's Hollywood Square.
You can't hit on me because I'm destroying.
See, that's more like food because there's all these somebody's.
I'm destroying your entire.
Oh, that's clever.
destroying your whole entire worldview.
Okay, I should stop messing with the command center. Here we go. Let's stop that. Seeing as it's
Oh
completely
my.
screwing up the
Oh,
image here.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Where's Alex Botten? I want to talk to Alex Botten.
He's probably asleep right now because it's like,
Yeah, it might be getting up about now, actually.
I think I'm gonna
no,
call him
he
right
gets
now.
up late.
I think I want to call Alex Botten.
I don't. Yeah, right. Stop it. Behave. Behave or I step on your face.
Oh,
something.
I'm
I
I
don't
sorry,
don't want that.
but, you know,
Damn it, Grolix. I don't like your Google account if it won't let you in. You may have to reload the Google app.
Well, I'm sorry, 13, if I'm destroying your entire worldview, if you can't handle that.
You don't even know what his worldview is.
Why is it showing him muted? And
I
he's
don't
able
have
to
to-
talk. Damn it, I'll have to fix that.
What, by kicking him from the room?
By muting him through Control Center and seeing if he can unmute himself.
Alright.
Can you
Try
unmute
unmuting
yourself?
yourself, prude box.
There we go. Okay, it went away. Good.
Fruit box.
Mama's
know.
got a prude box. She sure sleeps well at night. What?
There you go. There's your.
Yes.
Daddy comes home.
We lost
Hey,
Jade. We have
There's
no
your
name.
troll name. There's your
Yeah,
troll name.
she's
Fruit
gone
box.
falling. Yeah. Insomnia shuffle work. Actually, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna say goodnight as well.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
Oh,
Oh.
just running away, Riches, because I've already destroyed your entire worldview.
Oh,
of
shut
it.
up.
Oh, Prudy.
That's exactly
I
why.
believe.
I raged quick because you pissed me off, Fruit box. You destroyed my whole
Yeah,
Look,
video.
look, there's an entire
Crude
chemistry
box.
book. It shows how the
Yeah, see, there's the book. There we go. There we go.
Well,
Here's a book. Jade has a copy of it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna go and buy it.
I'm sorry, we're being douchebags.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I never do this. Oh, but
Rick, this is a good man.
I do it in my
Tries to
brain
be
all the time. I do it in my brain.
If I wasn't a nice person, I would do so many things to you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, if I didn't have a conscience and I had to sleep with my own brain every night, then yeah. If I was a sociopath or a psychopath, yeah, sure.
If I had to sleep with my own brain. Wait a minute.
As opposed to who else's.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Exactly,
He said
exactly.
if I
You're the
didn't
man. You're
have
the
to-
man with two brains.
well,
No,
I'm sitting
no.
on my tailbone right now.
No, the corpus callosum.
What?
He's
What?
actually said that.
The worldview destroyer
Why?
is back. No,
Destroyer,
you know what I
no.
mean. If I have to, if I have
I
to
am-
go to, no, you know what I mean.
I
There are
am
no such-
become Saitan.
There are no such
destroyer
things
of
as
all.
vestigial organs.
Okay, this is falling apart. I'm going.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, this is why Insomnia Shuffle normally gets deleted. And I kept
Oh,
the
yeah.
other one for a reason, because I'm like, yeah, before this disintegrates, I'm keeping this.
Well, yeah, the other one had a flow to it.
Yeah.
And it was fun because we
Well, we
shoved
had the
through
silly
the
questions
trap
and
door.
And
Two
he was
times.
blocked. He was blocked.
Yes, he was blocked.
Yeah.
Now you have to unblock him.
No, we only blocked his ult.
And
Oh.
even that, it was
Actually,
just
only
from,
blocked his
it was
ult.
just that one, yeah, and it was just from that one,
Oh, one hangout.
hangout, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a permanent thing, it was a what the fuck just happened thing.
Payback for blocking Nadia.
Well, have fun.
Anyway,
Good night.
have a good night, Rictus.
Good night.
Night, right there.
Have a good night. Everyone else that's sleeping, for that matter. And I might just cut the broadcast. I don't know. I mean, we're not getting much for joiners at this hour. People might actually like sleep. Amazing, as that may seem.
I think that, yeah.
I find I find it amusing that Americans are going to sleep and I haven't gone to bed yet either, and it's currently nearly 8 o'clock. in the morning.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Actually, that's usually around the time I start getting tired. It seems it's kind of obnoxious. But yeah, I still seem to have 8 viewers, and I have no idea what's the matter with these people.
Well, hey, more friends to make at the prison yard.
What?
Huh?
Ah?
Maybe it was just the delivery, or maybe it was just the remark, but what?
Maybe I said prison yard. I meant to say, looks like we got 8 new pedophile friends we've already made tonight.
What the fuck are you talking about?
8 viewers who are still watching. He even says, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I say, well, looks like we just made 8 new pedophile friends tonight.
Can someone explain to me what he's talking about?
Yeah.
He's attempting humor, I think, but I'm not sure that
Fail.
my assumption is correct.
I am attempting humor. You didn't get the joke?
Fail. Lots of
There
fail.
was a joke there?
I thought I was bad at jokes, but, well.
Prudent wins. Or loses,
Yeah,
depending
I'm
on how you look at it.
Yeah, I'm not that funny, apparently.
Well, we still have
If
Dave
you
Hobbs
don't
in the
have,
comments.
if it's not something you just kind of have, you pretty much have to really work at it to develop it.
Yeah.
To be fair, Okay, most of my friends will tell you that
G-Man's successful. Jason Burns is even more successful.
Yeah, they don't
I
mean
can
to
be
be. That's the
funny
problem.
sometimes.
Oh, except for
that?
Jason Burns, because last week he said, what was it? I'm a comedy genius. Not boasting, it's just the truth.
True enough.
That was the quote.
Fair enough.
What's that, Prudent?
I said, hey, I can be funny at times. I'm not good at crafting it. I'm only good at making naturally funny remarks about random things.
Okay, well, it'd be nice if you did that periodically so we'd have verification of this.
Where's your baseline?
I thought it was a funny joke about apparently calling everybody who's still watching at this time of the night a pedophile.
Why would that be funny?
Yeah.
Why would they be pedophiles? I mean,
Why wouldn't they just do Insomniacs?
I'm
what you
up
were thinking
watching this late at night. I'm always up this late at night. I might go to bed at like 2:30 or 3 tonight. That's early for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm up this late because I don't watch porn.
Oh.
I don't like porn, so, what else do I have to do?
I don't do that when I'm
well,
awake this late all the time.
Well, 13, you're married, 13, so you can't really get away with it anyway.
You obviously don't know my wife well enough.
Red doesn't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah. She'd probably sit down and watch with if I were into that, but I'm not. What?
Okay. It seems that 13 has a really awesome wife.
Well,
Yes, he
this
does.
is not news, yeah.
This reminds me of a sort of joke thing. There's a TV show in the UK called EastEnders, and two of the characters, a bit of the dialogue in there was something about dressed up in something out of a mail order catalogue and watching some porn. It was a sort of half comment. And the next day on a radio show, they do these little parodies of things that have happened recently, and one of them was, it's the EastEnders blind date, and, sort of the third one is, oh yeah, I'd get you dressed up in something out of a mail order catalogue and we'll sit and watch some porn. And she said, oh, I knew that is, I'll have him. And it's like, congratulations, you've chosen Prince.
Dude.
As in,
Formerly known as.
yeah.
And
Well, this joke is so old that he was still called Prince then, before
Yes.
being formerly known as, and now back to Prince.
And actually, my Armageddon Day planner has Prince referenced as the very last entry on it. Apparently, at the end times, the very last event that's going to happen is the fleshy, tattered remains of the artist formerly known as Prince will rename itself to Sarah.
Okay.
I used to do the Friday funnies, and I'd send out these weird things that people sent me every Friday. And one of them was this really bizarre Armageddon Day planner that I don't even know if I could find it anymore. But there were all kinds of weird entries on it. My favorite, though, was that God will take Pat Robertson up behind the woodshed and whoop his ass.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It's a beautiful mental image, isn't it?
Yes, actually it is. That depends on how you picture God. But since God could be anything, all I have to do is think of the most hilarious person possible to whoop Pat Robertson in the ass.
Can I picture God as a dominatrix just for kicks?
Yes.
Okay. Does that win any blasphemy challenges? Never mind.
I watched R.I.P.D. this afternoon, and in it, is it Jeff Bridges on that? Can't remember now. Anyway, he when you and I look at them, we see, instead of this young guy, we see a old Chinese guy, and the other guy is a beautiful woman, and he's an old sort of Wild West style cop. And when yeah, I'm losing it, forget it.
Losing it or lost it?
Yeah, something that's somewhere in between.
Yes.
Just yes, yeah. Occasionally the answer is simply yes, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to the comment that was just made, I'm slowly teaching people that the answer to all questions that you don't feel like bothering to waste time answering can simply be yes. I think this is a very valuable thing. I did it on the place one night.
It was on the Cult of Honesty.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It was the Creating Creationism episode, which I just watched with Rose like 2 nights ago.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure which one that was, but yeah, I had fun with that. Ask this question that requires all kinds of thought and whatnot. I'm like, yes. And they're like, well, okay.
He took you seriously.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was fun. Yes.
And I was actually going to reference that hangout earlier just to give Prudent credit because he was in that one and he did say some things that made me laugh.
Yeah,
The other thing that he did during that which made me laugh was that was the hangout, which you could hear him watching one of the Sci-10 Atheist videos.
Hey, Baba Booey. Welcome to the group. We are on air, by the way.
Hey, Bubba.
I'm broadcasting through XSplit tonight. So we're just kind of BSing, talking about this, that, and the other thing, and we were talking about G-Man created headaches earlier.
And porn.
Or non-porn,
No.
technically.
That's just what you're thinking about. I watch them.
Yeah, make an offhand reference to porn, and he's still going on about it, apparently. Yeah, just doing the standard insomnia thing. So how you been doing, Baba Booey?
Hello, hello. Pretty good.
Wow, your volume's low, and I can't adjust it right now.
Yeah, I noticed it was a bit quiet on the other hangout as well.
Now let me see if I can adjust that a touch.
Is it a little better now?
A little bit better. I'm going to see if I can crank your volume and completely screw up everything on the stream for a second. Okay, now try it.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey,
Yeah,
much better.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I think I was leaning back a little bit too from the mic.
Wow, that's not
Oh,
amazing.
believe it or not, I'm actually falling asleep, so I think I might just... Oh, Ed came in. Okay, I'll hang around for a little bit.
No, go ahead.
And,
Sorry.
and that fills up my screen before I have to add any people. By the way, we are on air for what it's worth. Prudent, what are you doing? Stop fapping.
We don't need to
Here
do
we
that.
go, muted. Thank you.
I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, right. So how's it going, Ed?
I just got booted out of another hangout that I'm not sure how. Actually, I think I booted myself, and then it wouldn't let me back in.
A lot of that going around.
I have no idea what I did.
Was G-Man still
The
talking
wrong
a load of crap?
something.
Was
G-Man's
G-Man still
gone.
talking... Sorry.
He-Man's
No,
gone.
G-Man finally left.
Alright. That kind of gives me headaches.
He is a headache sometimes. It's
You
kind
know,
of a shame.
I deliberately did a slow motion face palming because I knew he was going to say something stupid.
You just got to get it ready.
Well, that's not a really risky prediction to make. I mean, when he opens his mouth, you know he's going to say something stupid.
Yeah. But it was just the way that I kind of did this slow hand going up towards my face. Slowly, and just, you know, it was just doing it as slow motion. I mean, it probably took about 45 seconds to do a face palm.
It took it that long? Wow.
Well, no, it was because I knew it was coming and I was just
Oh,
waiting.
just a continuous.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, you know, did it and drew it down my face slowly, a bit at a time, you know.
I really encourage in some of these hangouts for people to take out a tape measure and measure the depth of their forehead before it starts, and then later to see how much the changes. Because you just know there's going to be a transition as that dent gets deeper, the further you have to face palm.
Yeah. I usually stay away from theist hangouts. You know, there's too much stuff to look through of people I have respect for, let alone stupid people I have no respect for, or very little respect for. So why waste my time trying to find things like that?
Well, in this case, he crashed the party, Cliff. You know, we were having our own abortion discussion, and D-Man came in.
Oh, okay, then I'm glad I didn't go into that. hangout.
Yeah, I'm tired of that topic. It keeps coming up.
Although, one of the last hangouts I made, Ed did that to me, didn't you, Ed? You crashed my, I invited you to it, and then someone made it public, and then you invited a load of other people, and next thing I know, I couldn't get a word in edgeways on my own hangout.
Well, somebody joined and left real quick.
I don't even remember.
David Hobbs.
Oh, it was about a week ago now.
Yeah, it was Hobbs.
But no big deal. It's all right.
Well, in any case.
But yeah, Ed was getting frustrated as well because it was like, oh, you can't be my argument. You haven't made an argument yet.
Yeah,
was saying Ed.
I'm pre-frustrated. I just don't understand why anybody even attempts to have a rational conversation with G-Man. It's not possible.
No.
You might as well try to play a game of tennis against a horse.
I remember
It isn't going to happen.
First hangout I ever joined was a G-Man hangout. Long story short, it was not fun.
The way I think about a G-Man, asking G-Man questions, is kind of like trying to phone your grandma and just try to describe how to program the VCR. But she doesn't have a VCR, but she does have a cake.
Yeah.
Or
Programming
trying
a
to teach
cake?
her how to program in Java, and all she has is a VCR.
Hey guys,
Lead a moron to water, but you can't make him think.
Yeah.
pretty much. Funny story, just a chop.
Better be. Better be.
One time when I was on about a month ago, apparently one guy who joined the hangout, he apparently was just a troll. It was actually funny. He was this old
Whose
guy.
hangout was this? Whose hangout?
I don't know. It was a long time ago. Some old guy comes on, and he was just a troll. He would basically show up, and he'd have this loud music playing in the background, and be all doing the CBL.
Okay. Sounds like kind
Prudent.
of the thing.
Remember what we were saying about delivery, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am literally the most non-funny person there is when I try to make things funny.
Oh, have you met Dane Cook?
Good point.
Somebody told me yesterday, I guess it's, kind of yesterday, Saturday, when I gave a talk about my book at this conference, and one of the things I did was I read some of the tweets that Jessica Alquist got after she won her lawsuit, and one of the tweets was from this guy who said, I don't get it exactly, but something like, for the record, when you die, you won't turn into a tree or some shit that atheists believe. And like, what? Well, then somebody came up afterwards. They said, you realize where that came from, right? And I said, no. And they said, it came from a Dane Cook routine. And apparently in one of his HBO specials, Dane Cook did a stupid joke about atheists believing that when we die, we turn into trees. And that was the source, and I was like, wow, no, I had no idea. That makes it even dumber than I thought it was already.
I thought
technically
We just knew with that one.
Hang on.
the most fertile land is cemetery land. You know, we should dig it up for the phosphorus at this point, in my opinion.
I've forgotten her name now. You said it a moment ago. Alquist. What was the
Jessica.
first name? Jessica.
Jessica Alquist.
I thought she was amazing. I really did.
She
wasn't
is amazing.
Wasn't she
she's-
was the evil young thing or something? Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Evil
the
little
evil
thing.
little thing. And actually,
Yeah.
yesterday,
I really
during
want
my
one of
talk,
those T-shirts.
That's great. I'm glad you did. We raised over $10,000 for her scholarship fund selling those shirts.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I have a shirt that says "Evil Big Thing."
Yeah.
I knew I couldn't pull off little. And there's a great picture. We had a picture taken together with it. And yeah, Jessica's an amazing young woman. She really is.
Oh, you guys talking about Jessica
Showed
Alquist?
such extraordinary courage and grace under us. I mean, I just can't even imagine, at 15 years old, going through what she went through at all.
Yeah, there was a similar case to that, and I think it was Texas not too long ago that they ended up backing down.
Well, there's cases of it all the time.
Yeah.
In Dover, they won.
What's that?
In Dover, they won.
They wanted over.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jessica won too, but in terms of students sort of standing up to that kind of thing and being inundated with death threats and harassment it happens all the time. A girl down in North Carolina, Kaylee.
Yeah, we were talking about her.
Yeah.
R&R was in the ethnic group.
Kaylee Wilson.
Yeah, Kaylee Wilson.
Yeah, Kaylee Wilson, and there's a whole bunch of stories like that of kids who've as young as elementary school. There's one of the cases I talked about in my talk the other day, and it's going to be a whole chapter in the book. It's probably the worst case I've ever seen. is this woman named Joanne Bell, who was from Oklahoma. In 1981, she filed a lawsuit against the school there, and because they had this thing called the Sunshine Club, Sun spelled S-O-N, and it met in the junior high before school on Thursdays. So on Thursdays, all of the school buses would run 45 minutes early to get the kids there in time for that. But the only ones who were allowed to go into the school were the kids who were going to that meeting. Everybody else had to sit outside.
Oh, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And the teachers would actually harass kids if they didn't go to these meetings. The Sunshine Club was created by a teacher there in the junior high who said that she had a vision in which Jesus told her that she had to save all the children of Little Axe, Oklahoma. So she complained about it. She was a Christian. She was, in fact, her family had founded the local Nazarene church. And they went to the school board. The school board basically told them to fuck off. In fact, the president of the school board at one point said, you know, we're not going to change this policy, and if you don't like it, call the ACLU. So she did.
Good for her.
So they filed this case. A couple of weeks later, someone calls in a bomb threat to the school. So, like any parent, she gets in her car and drives to the school, make sure her kids are okay. She gets to the school parking lot. She starts to open her door, and a school employee, a woman named Corinne Spurlock, grabbed her by her hair, pulled her out of the car by her hair, smashed her head into the top of the car several times, ended up giving her a concussion, a sprained shoulder, ripping about half the hair on the left side of her head out, sending her to the hospital. Now, while this is all going on, the principal was standing about 15 feet away and just watched it go on.
Jeez.
And then after a few minutes, he actually said, she's had enough, let her go. So the woman gets arrested. She pleads guilty to assault. She doesn't get jail time. She gets a fine. And the school not only doesn't fire her, they held a fundraising dinner to pay her fine.
Jeez.
They start getting death threats like crazy. Like every time the phone would ring, they'd just panic, you know. At one point, the phone rings, they pick it up, and there's a little girl's voice on the other end of the phone. And the little girl says, "Mommy?" And she pretty quickly realized it wasn't her daughter. And then an adult voice came on the phone, and it said, "Next time, it'll be your little girl."
Good Christian families.
Yeah. There were two plaintiffs in the case. There were originally four, and two of them dropped out because they were so scared. The other one was a woman named Lucille McCord. Both Lucille and Joanne Bell received their own obituaries in the mail. How fucking creepy is that?
Yeah.
Like this dog trial.
And then in the fall of that year, they went to a football game in a neighboring town because their then 9th grade son was playing football. They get to the football stadium, and they're met by a police officer who says, "You better go home, your house is on fire." Someone firebombed their house.
Oh, fuck.
So by the time they get back, it's ashes. There's almost nothing left. Monday morning, 3 days later, the school board, the lawyer for the school board, files a motion to dismiss the case on the grounds that they no longer live in the school district because their house burned up.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, how's that for balls, right?
I have to ask if the fire department even fucking showed up to try and put out the fire.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
But, so yeah, it was just in fact, you may have heard about this. You remember recently the case down in Oklahoma where a judge.
Was there a happy ending at all to this, or?
Well, they did win the case, yeah.
Okay.
Boy, there's another part of it that I missed. They had a son that was in the 5th grade. On the playground during recess, a kid pushed him off the swings and broke his arm. The school principal, the same one that watched the woman that ran the cafeteria beat the hell out of Joanne Bell, brings the kid into his office, doesn't take him to the hospital, doesn't call his mother, makes him sit in his office all afternoon. Joanne Bell gets to the school to pick him up and finds out, what had happened several hours earlier. She takes him to the hospital. He has to have emergency surgery for a compound fracture in his arm.
Oh, Christ.
Wow.
Yeah, it's this case like you just go, it hits bottom. Nope, it gets worse. Like, this is the most unbelievable situation.
I'm actually reading it right now, one of the articles. I'm not sure if you mentioned this other part. Joanne Bell and Lucille McCord, those are the two women who were... Oh, the funny thing is, they weren't atheists. They were actually involved with their...
Yeah,
right.
he said that.
Yeah, Joanne Bell had a perfect attendance record at church, and her grandparents had founded the local Nazarene church.
Oh, but it gets...
This is all over some bullshit club at a school that they
Yeah, this isn't Christianity. It's a fucking cult.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets even worse. It gets even worse.
Let
McCord's
Ed
12-year-old
tell it.
Yeah.
McCord's 12-year-old son's prize goats were slashed and mutilated
Yeah.
with a knife by somebody.
Yeah, lambs. Yeah,
Hang on,
I mentioned that in the talk that I give. I said I find it ironic that people who follow someone that they refer to as the Lamb of God would be slaughtering lambs.
Well,
You see, that's how you do the irony with it still being kind of amusing in a horrific way.
It's just a horrifying case. The cool kind of happy ending of this was that Joanne Bell, when they told her to call the ACLU, the only thing she thought she knew about the ACLU was that they were like this evil organization. So she calls them, they take her case, they win the case. During the case, she started volunteering at the ACLU office in Oklahoma. She ends up going to work for them and ends up eventually being the executive director of the ACLU of Oklahoma.
Oh, wow, that's
She retired in late 2011. She's now writing a book about her own case as well, which of course will be a lot more detailed than the one chapter that I have on it. So
I see a movie.
It's an amazing story. It just gets worse and worse at every turn. You know?
I mean, it actually sounds like it'd be a decent horror flick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of that joke. You're supposed to look at that man on the cross and think, how could one man have died to save us from all our sins? Not, the Romans are pussies. He still has his eyes.
I don't know. I always go back to my fallback comment regarding that, which is, I died for what?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely deplorable. It really is.
I think the one that I found pretty buff. I don't look at many of these things. I only see them when I come across them, rather than being attached to things where they pop up all the time. And it was the one in it might have been the Dover one, actually. There was one about basically the school board had been taken over by creationists or whatever it was, and they weren't allowed to talk about sexuality at all. Homosexuality in any way.
Oh, that's a
and so kids were being basically assaulted and beaten up, and several of them killed themselves. And the teachers weren't allowed to do anything because they were pretty much more afraid of their jobs at the time, at the start of it. But some of them changed their mind later on.
No, it wasn't Dover.
Yeah, that was not Dover. The Dover case, though, that school board was just, wow. Spectacularly stupid, every one of them.
The nice thing is that once it gets up to a level that's high enough, where there's a district judge or a federal court judge, somehow it always seems to work itself out. I mean, I haven't heard of a bad ending recently in any of these cases.
That's where I was going to say before I was interrupted. You remember a few weeks ago when a judge in Oklahoma, he was overturned by an appeals court. He had refused to allow a transgender woman to change her name.
I don't remember this.
And an appeals court judge appeals court in Oklahoma recently overturned that decision. And the guy had actually quoted the Bible in it, saying, God has made them male and female in his ruling. And the appeals court was like, smacked him down and said, this is completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
Well, the judge in that case, the one that refused it, was the lawyer for the school board in the Joanne Bell case.
Oh, wow.
His name is Bill Graves, and he's a Christian Reconstructionist.
Well, that explains a lot.
Like, actually toured with R.J. Rushdoony. In fact, R.J. Rushdoony was called as an expert witness in Joanne Bell's case.
Wow.
And they were actually, like, the whole case rested on the Lemon test, where you have to prove that allowing this, stuff to go on didn't have the purpose or effect of advancing religion. But their argument at trial was that, yeah, we're advancing religion, and that's a good thing. Like, they presented a psychologist who said that we have to teach Christianity in schools because what the students are learning in church is not being reinforced by the school, and that's hurting their ability to continue to believe in it. And
the sad thing is, juries down there don't listen to that.
Well, these aren't juries. I mean, this is a federal lawsuit, a civil suit.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah, there was no jury in the case, and in the middle of it, that was the other thing, was that the school board, or the judge, had issued a preliminary injunction in the case saying you can't do this, you can't do any of this stuff while the case is pending. While the case was still pending, they had a mandatory school assembly at the junior high with an evangelist giving his testimony of how God saved him from some horrible disability, and inviting everyone to come to a revival at this local church that night.
Let's
with the injunction in place.
Let's save everyone before the verdict comes in.
Yeah. And the judge was really pissed off about it. And the school board actually tried to argue that this wasn't covered under the preliminary injunction. It was totally different because this was mandatory and the Sunshine Club was voluntary.
Wow.
And the judge responded to that argument by saying, it's so absurd that it need not even be addressed. So.
I found the one I was thinking of, Anoka in Minnesota. It's Michelle Bachmann's home turf. And that's the article on it.
Is that by Matt Taibbi?
Sorry?
Is that a Matt Taibbi article?
I'm not sure. Give me a second, let me see.
No. Sabrina Rubin uttered
Sabrina
I remember seeing this.
Michelle
yeah,
Bachmann,
I remember someone pointed me to that several months ago.
I've seen her, actually. I've been
pretty tragic.
I've been 50 feet away from her at an ISU football game.
I have a picture of me with her arm around me.
Who's this?
Michelle Bachmann. With her wearing a shirt that looked like labia.
I have that on my desktop.
What's that?
I have that saved on my on one of my files you sent me because I think it's it's one of the funniest pictures I've ever seen.
It's a great picture.
I didn't know she was so tall.
No, she's not. She was on a riser.
Oh.
I was on the ground and she was on a riser. I'll find this picture and I'll share it with everyone.
That's hilarious. Way too fun.
Oh, that's not it.
Yeah, I definitely like one of those evil little things, though.
This is
Yeah,
kind of
those are good shirts.
the thing is, we'll hear stuff on the news about, Saudi Arabia has decided to declare atheists terrorists or something like this. And yes, that's a big deal, but I'm more concerned about the bullshit that's going on right here, right now.
Yeah. Being in college in the Midwest, I just, I don't see a lot of that. Sometimes you just forget about it.
Here it is.
It looks like a labia. It's so funny.
Doesn't that shirt? But tell me, we're going to click on that link. Tell me that shirt does not look like the shirt does not look like labia.
That's funny.
Which would make her nose. Never mind.
Yeah, that would make her head a clit. Yeah, that was in 2009 at an anti-healthcare reform rally that they held in the Capitol. I was in D.C. for business and went over there and saw it. And the guy that I was with was like, she was taking afterwards. There was a line of people and she was taking pictures with him. And he was like, "You've got to go and get a picture with her." I'm like, yep, you're right.
That's a great picture, Ed. Really great picture.
Okay, I just want to mention one thing, and it's actually sort of good news. The goats.
Please let it be good news.
Yeah, the goats that I told you, Lucille McCord's son's goats who were basically mutilated by knife. They actually did survive.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Okay, well, I was so concerned about them.
Yeah. But and they were delicious.
To be honest, if they'd been mutilated, they're probably better off dead.
The second picture there is my Evil Big Thing shirt.
So I know that there's a book being worked on. I know you mentioned it before, but since we are broadcasting, what's the topic, and do you have a working title yet?
We're not broadcasting, we're off air.
We're broadcasting.
No, we're broadcasting.
Oh, mine says off air.
Yeah, I mentioned that when you came in, though. I'm doing it through XSplit.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
XSplit allows me to broadcast directly. The first half of the Hangout was just us doing some weird Q&A stuff, and it was hilarious, and I decided I wanted to make sure to keep it, so I cut it right before the 2-hour mark.
The book is about plaintiffs in church-state cases.
Oh.
And the almost inevitable abuse and death threats, and sometimes serious violence that they get from the local communities. So Jessica Ahlquist is one chapter, Joanne Love is one chapter, and there's several other stories in there as well, and then a lot of other stuff. There's a chapter on the history of church-state separation and how it ended up in the Constitution, a chapter on what the Supreme Court has done with that since 1947. And then there will be a chapter with sort of a psychological evaluation. Why do people behave this way? What pushes them to harass and threaten?
Did you actually get a shrink's input on that chapter?
Yes. Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then we're also going to have some model legislation on how to fix this by making it much easier for people to file lawsuits anonymously, so that their identity isn't made available, and that would essentially set the default in favor of anonymity in Establishment Clause cases. William Brennan, who's a late Supreme Court justice, said in a case where they did allow anonymity, Doe versus Santa Fe, back in the 80s, that the only cases they see that involve death threats and intimidation like that are Establishment Clause cases. Like, with all the controversial cases the Supreme Court handles, the only ones that involve death threats are those. You know?
Yikes.
So we want to amend the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure to instruct judges to take that history into account and put the burden of proof on the defendants, school boards or whatever, to show why they shouldn't be allowed to file with a pseudonym of Jane Doe or John Doe.
That sounds really good, actually.
It'll never pass, but
yeah. Well, hopefully, you go far enough with it. You never know, but
yeah.
I think you might be right, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but I mean, we want something needed.
Yeah, actually that idea came from one of these hangouts. That Mike Holloway, the monk, he was the one who suggested that. We got into a conversation about it, and he suggested the model legislation. I'm like, it's a great idea. I mean, if nothing else, as a promotional tool for the book, and to just offer, look, there's a way out of this. There's a way to make this less likely, and here's how we can do it. So
yeah, and the thing is, I mean, it's not simply about atheism or whatever the hell like these people try to paint it to be. It's just about people not being shat on for
basic human decency.
Right. Well, and a lot of the plaintiffs in these cases, and this is something I do point out in the book, a lot of the plaintiffs in these cases are not atheists. That spin of it's always atheists versus Christians isn't true. Many of the plaintiffs in the Dover case were Christians. In the Edwards versus Aguilar, which is the lawsuit that got creationism out of public schools in 1987, all of the plaintiffs were bishops in mainline Christian denominations. So, a lot of these cases are not filed by atheists. They're filed by Christians who just don't, they think it's their job to instruct their children in religious matters, not the government.
Yeah, there was. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in these cases, where you have these towns that are so anti-evolution, do you find that there is a socioeconomic correlation that happens between, just poverty and complete lack of understanding on the topic and lack of wanting to have a better education system? Or
it's not a question that I've really looked at. I don't think so. I mean, first of all, with the evolution cases, several of them have been state-level cases, not local communities.
True.
Challenging state law, like McLean versus Arkansas and Edwards versus Aguilar. The Dover case, that was not a poor community. It's a suburb of York, Pennsylvania. So I don't really think that that it has much to do with.
I expect it to be more. If you were to go with the demographic, I think it'd be more middle class.
Yes,
yeah, that's been sort of my sense of it, but it's not a question I've given any.
That would be something really interesting to look into, because there have been a lot of these cases, and just looking at like what the towns that they started in and doing some just quick and dirty statistics on the demographics, that could be fun. A lot of the information.
One of the things that I do point out in the book is, and it's one of the interesting patterns to me, is that you might expect that this sort of thing would happen in the deep South more than it would in the Northeast. Not true. But in fact, some of the big cases, I mean, Jessica Alquist, ironically, happened in Rhode Island, founded by Roger Williams, the person who coined the phrase separation of church and state. The Ellery Shemp case happened in a suburb of Philadelphia.
I'm just trying to find a reason why we have these sort of communities in America that are almost working together to keep evolution from being taught.
No, it's not. They're not working together.
Well, I mean, and like in that one case, you had a principal, you had the teachers, you had the.
It's not really simply a matter of evolution. It's it's a matter of.
Most of these cases don't involve evolution, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of Christianity versus
certain forms of Christianity
versus secularism, basically, is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, separation of church and state. I mean, I certainly don't think that the overwhelming majority of Christians think that this kind of intimidation is justified or okay.
No.
This is a very small percentage that are doing this. But one of the things that I do point out is that the source of that attitude, though, is this idea of Christian privilege. And the book is called By Their Love, Violence in Defense of Christian Privilege. That there is a sense in which Christianity is simply the cultural default. And Christians are allowed to live inside this sort of cocoon of safety with the presumption that everyone's a Christian. We're all Christians, right? And so they don't have to give any consideration to how things like Establishment Clause violations turn atheists into second-class citizens. And I quote from Justice O'Connor, who was, when she came up with the endorsement test, talked a lot about how these kinds of religious establishments send a message to Christians that they are full members of the community, and send the message to non-adherents that they're second-class citizens. And that's something that most Christians have a very difficult time understanding at all, because they have such a load of privilege that they aren't even aware of the advantages that they have being Christian in a predominantly Christian society.
Okay, I'm gonna get going now because it's 8:35 in the morning. So
have a good one, Cliff.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for the invite. Good night.
Good night, Cliff.
Good to have you. Yeah, there's been so many just. It disgusts me. It really does. I mean, every time I get one of these stupid flyers or what have you stuck in my door from one of these good Christian companies, quote, quote, that, if you ever go to deal with most of these folks that sit there and advertise their Christianity, they're usually crap. Often the most horrible kind of people. My wife on one occasion, and who was a Christian at the time and still kind of is, at least a theist, actually at one point hired a moving company. There was one of these good Christian moving companies. And from the way they were acting, she actually kept a knife in the back of her pants because she thought that they were going to mug her as opposed to finish doing the move. Just horrific. And then you have cases like this that somebody says, you know, this doesn't seem right or this doesn't seem fair. And you get these same kind of people that just, they're talking about how good and wonderful and moral they are and how great they are as Christians. Yet they're horrible, horrible, atrocious people that just, I don't know how they can square that in their minds. I just don't.
They redefine morality.
It's just not that. It's people, at least not as the way I see it. People like to overcompensate with something. For example, you find that you want somebody to trust you. You just emphasize one aspect of you, for example, your faith, and you hope that people will associate that with, oh, that's an association with doing something good. It's just that you want to build a prima facie justification for why you are a moral person, and you'll just throw that out there. However, if you have the need to always just bring that up in reference to your moral duty or good, then chances are you're using it as a crutch or blocking something, at least in my viewpoint.
I'm going to give you
For
a touch
myself-
more volume.
For myself, I just allow my behavior to do the talking. Can I not be heard?
I was just turning you up a little bit to try and balance you out with the room.
Cool.
No, I totally agree, Effie. It's kind of like
That's a really good point, Effie.
yeah, it's kind of like somebody who flaunts their credentials immediately, kind of shows a lack of confidence in their ability to, you know, to articulate on a certain subject or something like that, you know.
There's a movie where I really wish I could remember the name. It's one of those crappy B movies, but they had this very interesting character who was in pre-med who would always call himself doctor, despite the fact that he did not have an actual doctorate yet, just as a way of pointing up his rank.
It's overcompensating. Yeah, overcompensating.
Yeah, that's at least how I said. By the way, I came in here to ask Ed a question regarding the Treaty of Tripoli. It's been something that's been brought up, at least on the internet, how does that doctrine that specific legal treaty pertain to establishing America's identity in terms of separating church and state? Is it legally important? Has it been used?
No,
Not legally.
No, not really. It's I mean, first of all, the treaty doesn't exist anymore. But what it indicates is that that the first generation of, you know, after the Revolution and after the Constitution, including a great many of the people who helped frame the Constitution, ratified that treaty with that statement that, you know, that America is in no sense a Christian nation in it. And they ratified it unanimously. It wasn't even a matter of any controversy. So that's just a sort of, you know, discrete bit of data from history to show that they did not intend to establish a Christian nation, you know, in a de jure way, you know.
Was it in that context? Could it also be seen as, well, as a way of not only just emphasizing the fact that they're not trying to establish a nation founded on a religion, in the sense that the Muslims would find their governments founded on Islamic doctrines.
Right.
But it would also be a dialogue there, as well as an inter-one in the United States political scheme.
Yeah, they clearly intended to distinguish themselves, you know, us from the system of government that they would have understood.
Right.
And because they would have presumed, based on the way they built governments, that if you are a predominantly Christian nation, then Christianity must be doctrinally the sort of ruling doctrine, and they were clearly, you know, telling them no, that's not the case.
There's actually fairly compelling evidence that the nation, when it was fairly young, was concerned about things like religion and large corporations and these kind of things, because they'd ran into a lot of that in their own countries, and there was almost a subcurrent of paranoia about what happens when one of these kind of groups gets too much power.
That was certainly true when you look at the writings of Jefferson and Madison. that yeah, they were immensely concerned about this, and they talked a great deal about the historical realities of, you know, when church and state was wed throughout Europe, and the fact that it, you know, just meant no liberty at all, you know, and so.
What about?
Epi, with this Treaty of Tripoli, I think you might have stumbled across the missing link to the whole Benghazi conspiracy too.
Hey, it could be the Tripoli that's in Lebanon. Who knows?
Fair enough. I'm gonna interrupt because I'm getting tired and I'm about to fall asleep. And thank you, Ed, for destroying my faith in humanity yet again.
Everybody needs a hobby.
My work here is done.
Did you destroy Kevin's faith in humanity?
I don't know.
No, the stories.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I don't think I've been on a hangout with you before, Kevin. It was good talking to you. I'll add you.
Yeah, you have. You've been in quite a few with me, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I actually caught a bit of what you had to say during the interview, during this discussion, Kevin. I also enjoyed over listening to your opinion.
Oh, well, thanks.
Go crash. Go crash before getting on something else you want to listen to.
Yeah. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, that was when I spoke at the conference this week, and I actually gave 2 different talks. One of them was about my book, and then later on I did like 20 minutes of comedy. So I said, I depressed you earlier, and now I get to make you laugh and make up for it.
Who's that? I'm trying to remember the name of that comedian who tried to appeal to a Congress hearing for Alzheimer's. Zach.
Oh, Zach Galifianakis.
No,
Galifianakis.
Yeah.
Not him. Seth Rogen. Sorry, Seth Rogen. It was actually not that bad. He was pretty funny, although I'm not sure if the jokes overshadowed the whole Alzheimer's thing, but he did a pretty decent job. I'm wondering if it's going to be like that. But you know, there's probably no reference for comparison. Although I wanted to ask about the question of whether or not America could be regarded as a Christian nation in more of, not in a governmental or civic sense, but rather as having some Christian philosophical underpinning, maybe in establishing some tenets. Because I've heard there have been authors who have argued that a lot of Locke, who influenced many of the fathers, derived his notion of natural rights from kind of a liberal Christian point of view, at least in that sense. Not in hardcore pro-Jesus wrote the Constitution sense.
Right. No, there's sort of 2 different positions that I think you can take here. One is we were officially a Christian nation, and that, which we all agree is nonsense. Yeah. There is a second argument of a much sort of more moderate version of that, which is that that the Constitution grew out of a Christian milieu. And that without that, and that's not an entirely illegitimate argument. I mean, certainly, first of all, the Enlightenment period, that was sort of the immediate background for this, does not happen without the Reformation. Mm-hmm. So there is a sense, that sense in which certainly there's some truth to it. And the other thing is, at the time, and Dan Linford, who comes into these hangouts every now and then, his PhD thesis is on the history of atheist thought. And he, one of the things that he points out is that deism at the time was considered a Christian movement. That deism grew out of Christianity, and it was obviously a very sort of stripped down liberal version of it. So I think there's a very broad sense in which that's true.
Well, Thomas Jefferson, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to kind of make an important point. Thomas Jefferson was one of the more well-known deists that there were, but if you look at what he wrote about, he definitely has high regards for the character of Jesus Christ, and at least in some cases, he obviously, but his Jefferson Bible is basically just ignore all the supernatural stuff, focus on all the moral teachings.
Yeah. The Jefferson Bible, that he put, it's now called the Jefferson Bible. He called it his syllabus of the life and morals of Jesus of Nazareth. And yeah, he regarded Jesus as an ethical philosopher. And I don't think I would call Jefferson a deist, because he believed in a personal, provident, interventionist God. Now, that wasn't all that unusual for deists, people who were regarded as deists of that age, but it's certainly different from the way we use the term today.
Would he be more in line with perhaps John Locke's very liberal Christianity? Locke,
He was
for
more,
example, virgin birth, resurrection.
yeah, I would say he was certainly more scientific leaning than Locke was. There's a great phrase, and I've been using it for years, that I took from a guy named Greg Fraser, who is a historian. I think he's now with Messiah College, or it's Master's College. Used to be with Grove City College. He's a Christian historian, and he's got a great term for what he calls the key founders and what they believed. And by the key founders, he meant the first 4 presidents and Ben Franklin. And the term he uses is theistic rationalist.
Oh.
And it's a term I really like, because as he puts it, they were theist rather than deist because they believed in a personal, provident, interventionist God. But they were rationalists in that they believed that every claim, including the existence of that God, had to pass the test of reason. And that was a major focus of theirs. And so that's a phrase I really like, and that's the term that I typically use to describe the religious views of those particular founding fathers. One of the things, when I wrote my piece a couple weeks ago about things atheists should stop saying, one of them was stop saying all the founding fathers were deists, because in fact only a handful of them could even vaguely be considered deists. Most of them were Christians of one sort or another. It's just that we only talk about 5 or 6 of them, really. You know, we don't talk about Robert Carroll and Samuel Livingston and people like that most Americans probably couldn't identify at all, but they know Washington and Jefferson and Adams. And, so
One of the videos I was watching a couple days ago basically had someone rebutting the claim that America was a Christian nation, to which I agreed with them, but I responded by saying, yeah, but there's like this cultural Christian milieu that, as you said, like the more modest one, and I was kept painted at, and he cited the Treaty of Tripoli, to which I responded, yeah, it's not really a legally binding document that separates church and state, plus that paragraph that you cite, while it was ratified under Congress, was not in the actual treaty itself. Plus,
yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't.
There's some dispute over whether it was in the Islamic version of it.
Oh,
right. In the Arabic version of it.
But I did say it was passed by Congress, though.
Yeah, the one that Congress ratified definitely had that, because it was actually published in full in the newspaper when it was ratified, and it clearly did include that. So, but yeah, the Treaty of Tripoli is just this sort of discrete bit of evidence just for the general sentiment. You were absolutely right to say it has no legal weight whatsoever. There's also another thing that you might cite is there's a case, and I think it was 1881, a Supreme Court case called Holy Trinity versus U.S.
Oh, right. It's the one where they wanted to hire a British minister, but they weren't. But a church was blocked because I believe there was something about him coming from a foreign soil and whatnot.
I don't remember the details of the case, but it was a case in which the Supreme Court said, America is a Christian nation. Of course, that can mean 2 very different things. It can mean an officially Christian nation, or it can mean a nation made up mostly of Christians. And the justice that wrote that ruling several years later published a book about it, in which he explained, no, I didn't mean that it was officially a Christian nation in any sense, but that, because we are a predominantly Christian nation, in which most of the people here have predominantly been Christian, our social mores and all and customs are likely to have grown out of Christianity, which is clearly true. I can't imagine how anyone would dispute that.
Yeah. It's just that when I kind of get where people are coming from in which they're kind of defensive against the more modest claim, because when you
Right.
have the more radical claim shoved down your throat, it's easy to be kind of
Right.
It's easy
But-
to be very defensive in
But
that.
you need to be honest in handling the evidence, you know. So, defensiveness is not an excuse for being sloppy with your
True, I'm not
evaluation. You know.
I'm not defending the yeah.
You know-
I just,
you know-
I just don't
you know-
like coming across as being someone defending the notion that America is inherently a Christian
No, I
democracy.
know. I know.
Can I quickly? I just wanted to say when you guys were talking and you brought up that Jefferson thought of Jesus as an ethical philosopher, I immediately thought of Socrates, and how interesting it is that we question whether or not Socrates really existed. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of interesting.
Jefferson made that comparison himself. Jefferson wrote in a couple of different private letters about comparing Jesus to Socrates and Plato to the gospel writers.
Wow.
Because he believed that Plato had completely distorted what Socrates believed and had made him essentially a mouthpiece for what he believed. And he said the same thing of the gospel writers. He called the writers of the gospels a band of dupes and imposters. And he called St. Paul the first great distorter of the doctrines of Jesus. Jefferson was convinced that not only did Jesus, that not only was Jesus not the Son of God and not divine, but that he had never claimed to be, and that Paul and the men who wrote the Gospels had put that in there. And yeah, he actually made that same exact comparison and saying that
There are three Gospels that'll agree with them.
Yeah, that the Gospel writers had done to Jesus the same thing that he believed Plato had done to Socrates.
That's a thesis that's also very has become popular amongst some Jewish scholars of the New Testament. The notion that there was an inherent Jewish or kosher Jesus right underneath all the Gentile stuff that was destructed by Paul and the later followers. I believe Rabbi Shmuley Ebotek. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
I don't know how to pronounce it either. I know I hate that guy, but
I say Shmuley Boteach.
yeah.
Yeah, I find that to be a little problematic, mostly considering Paul's background as someone who was like, I'm persecuting the church. Yeah, no, I might just join the church. At least as how it's presented in the Book of Acts. Then again, the Book of Acts. Then again, one has to argue whether or not the Book of Acts, as it is, represents something that can be called historical in some sense, and one would also have to get into arguments over Paul's testimony about himself too. But that's just a secondary quibble.
Yeah, I find that I think and I've been done tremendous study on this over the years of the religious views of the founding fathers. They're so much more interesting than the way the David Bartons of the world portray them. Their beliefs are so much more sophisticated and complex, and I get as irritated with Christians who want to turn them into atheists, which is absurd. None of them were atheists by a long shot.
Even Thomas Paine wrote letters against French atheists who.
Well, yeah. In fact, you read Thomas Paine. Read the very first page of The Age of Reason, in which he lays down his creed, and he clearly believes in God. And that was something that, again, Dan Linford and I had a really interesting discussion about this a couple of weeks ago, and he said, the deists in general were strongly anti-atheist, even including Voltaire. Who is today seen as something of a hero in the secular world, but he was strongly anti-atheist. Jefferson argued against Calvinism by arguing that Calvinism was so absurd that it would lead people to become atheists instead of Christians, and that's a bad thing.
That's an interesting. That's something very interesting I've never heard before.
Yeah.
Also,
and by the way, Jefferson famously said, "I am a Christian in the only sense that I believe he would have wanted me to be," which is believing his doctrines about human ethics. He also said in another letter, "I am an Epicurean." So I thought that might interest you.
That also does interest me. I consider myself to be influenced by Epicurean philosophy just a bit.
I would have never guessed.
No, really. Well, as well as being Christian, which sends some people in a bit of a tiff. Me and Matthew Bell had a huge argument over whether or not it was proper for me to call myself Epicurus because it was so anti-Christian. But another thing that's interesting about Thomas Paine was in not the Age of Reason, but in Common Sense. He borrowed biblical verses to incite against the crown. For example, he quoted the prophet Samuel, who said, if you have a king who rules over you, he's just going to take your children, your wealth, he's going to make you fight his wars, and he used that to oppose the crown, and as a given reason on why the Americans should rebel. He wasn't too fond of the, I think he had a saying about the Bible, he could appreciate it better because he could use reason to see where its strengths and shortfalls were, whereas somebody would have to denounce reason in order to accept the whole thing. He called out Moses as being someone very wicked on reading Numbers 31, although I think many of you would share his view on that much.
Numbers 31 is the biggest reason I left Christianity.
Ah.
Yeah, that was the single biggest thing where I just said I cannot reconcile this.
Before I go, I just wanted to ask, we keep talking about Jefferson. I just wanted to ask anybody here, has anybody ever been to Monticello just by chance?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so have I. Went there on a school trip. My school, when I was a senior in high school, we went on a nice trip to Virginia to check it out. Really nice. Just such a beautiful place.
He was living large, pretty.
What?
Jefferson was living large, wasn't he?
Yeah, until he died penniless.
Yeah, he died broke.
Yeah, I mean, he spent all the money building that. Technically, it wasn't even finished when he died. That's the funny thing.
Go crash, man. Go get some sleep while you can.
All right, but before I go, the one part I remember that was so awesome about the Monticello house was he, in one of his rooms, it was like I think it was like his recreation room area. He had 3 pictures, and he called it like that was his version, like the Trinity of the 3 greatest men before him, and they included John Locke, Isaac Newton, and I believe the other one was Galileo, if I'm not mistaken. That was always kind of my favorite part. It definitely shows, like, where Jefferson's influence came from, especially from someone like John Locke, who completely influenced his philosophical side.
Mm. I think I'm going to hit the sack, too.
I think I'm going to call this and call the broadcast because I'm getting tired, too. Finally.
And same here.
Have a great night, everybody.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us. Good to see you, Ed.
Yep.
I'm going to have to... oh, well.
The 13, before I head out, I just wanted to let you know that the Kalam Hangout argument...
Oops, I hit the wrong button, I think, there. Let's stop the broadcast here. Yeah.